Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome to another session of Perspective 360 degree where we are going to do current affair based answer writing practice in a detailed and structured manner. And as a part of this video, we are going to continue with economic survey only. So we have already covered part 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and this is the sixth part as a part of this series. And I hope my voice is audible to all of you. There is no problem with the voice. Okay. All right. So as a part of today's session, primarily we are going to focus upon this chapter, which is employment and skill development, a very important chapter from your exam point of view. And if you open this chapter, if you try to read it, then you can easily identify certain type of areas or certain type of themes that are important as far as your descriptive paper is concerned. For example, this chapter is talking about the structural barriers to female labor force participation rate and the reformative interventions that are required. This is the first key theme and important theme that it discusses. Then it is importantly talking about the rural urban disparities in the employment structure. This is also important. I want you to cover it. And thirdly, it is also talking about harnessing India's demographic transition. So we are going to talk about this part as a part of this video. And those of you who are watching these sessions regularly, so if you're watching this video, my humble request is that try to cover these areas from your side, right? Just open the economic survey or any summary that you have and try to cover these two areas. I was not able to cover it as a part of this session because of the time constraints, but I would encourage you to go and read it. And those students, of course, who are a part of our course, don't worry, in the document we will provide you a Q&A sample regarding these areas also, regarding these themes also. So I hope it is clear to you. Now, if you see the expected question for today regarding this theme number 3 that we are going to cover. So the question says India's demographic dividend is expected to peak around 2030. Even as the country begins transitioning towards an aging population. In this context, discuss the challenges arising from this demographic transition and the multi-sectoral policy interventions required to harness it effectively. So this is something that has been discussed as a part of the economic survey multiple times, and we are going to see it. We are going to see that what economic survey says and what could be the scope of value addition regarding the different arguments. So if we see the introduction to this answer, then although the introduction looks a bit lengthy, you don't have to write such a lengthy introduction since the question is of 400 words only. So you just have to spend around 10 to 12% of the total word limit when it comes to the introduction. So just try to write it within 40 words only, and that should be sufficient. This is just to give you some extra value as a part of your introduction, but in the examination you don't have to write such a lengthy introduction, right? I hope it is clear. So India is currently at a pivotal demographic juncture with a workforce exceeding 56 crore. The nation holds immense economic potential, and projections indicate that. Economic survey says that projections indicate that India's demographic dividend, the economic growth potential arising from a working age population outnumbering non-working group, and it is expected to peak around the year 2030. And at this peak, nearly 65% of the population will fall within the age of 15 to 59 years age bracket. I would say this is a very important data. I want you to note down this data. You can use this data in case of employment based question also. You can use this data in case of, I would say, population dynamics based question also that are asked related to demography, because it is something that is there as a part of a social issue syllabus, right? So make sure that you are collecting this type of data. You can use it in different manners and different type of questions. However, this period also signals the onset of a demographic transition towards an older population, which means the aging population, driven by falling fertility rates. You would be knowing the current fertility rate in India, right? Very, I would say, few months back only I was reading it, and it is 1.9. And what is the replacement rate? Replacement rate is 2.1. So we can see that the fertility rate is below the replacement rate, which is something I would say not a good sign, right? When it comes to the population stability in a country. So we can see falling fertility rates and rising life expectancy. So how we are going to manage that? On one side, the life expectancy is increasing, but just ask yourself that merely increase of life expectancy, is it enough? The answer is no. We have to think about standard of living too. We have to think about better healthcare and better education infrastructure too, right? So without these kind of social parameters, I would say this life expectancy is nothing. What you are going to do with this life expectancy if the population that you are having in your nation is not productive enough, right? So that is something, these type of things you can touch when you are writing your introduction. Now let us move on to the body part, and let us see body part 1, where we are going to see the challenges of a transitioning population as discussed in the economic survey. And the first issue that has been discussed, or the first challenge that has been discussed, is regarding the health concerns. And when we talk about health concerns, economic survey very clearly talks about the non-communicable diseases, right? It talks about the prevalence of non-communicable diseases in the Indian population, such as cardiovascular diseases, such as diabetes, such as mental health challenges, right? Specifically among the productive age group, that is between 15 to 59, that is very crucial as far as our demographic dividend goal is concerned, right? This population. So this population, this age group is suffering. There is high prevalence of this rising non-communicable diseases, right? And epidemiological reports indicate that these concerns increasingly impact the segment of the population that is vital for the economic output, right? Because I would say, if you talk about the non-communicable diseases among the working age population, they are an important cause of concern, because in the long term, of course, they are going to impact the productivity of the economy, right? They are going to impact the productivity of the economy, and that is why it is very important that we require policy focus on prevention. Apart from that, healthcare, and also lifestyle improvement. So this is something that should be the priority of government at this point of time, and no doubt that we are working in this direction in order to solve these type of concerns. But this is something that is highlighted, and this non-communicable diseases, you can see up to what extent they are rising. The second point is regarding systemic pressure. So regarding systemic pressure, economic survey says that India's demographic dividend is projected to peak around 2030. At which point nearly 65% of the population will be in the age group of 15 to 59 years, right? Now economic survey says that when this transition is happening, this transition signals a growing labor demand, which is justified, right? Of course, the growing labor demand is there, the growing demand in the labor markets. Apart from that, it signals social security systems and healthcare infrastructure. Why is it so? Because the population gradually ages. Because as the population gradually ages, the total fertility rate falls below replacement rate, right? And this is something exactly what we are witnessing in India. We know that the TFR is 1.9 and the replacement rate is 2.1, right? And India's population is gradually aging because of this falling fertility rate, right? Falling TFR, and basically increasing life expectancy, right? And what is the replacement rate? Replacement rate is 2.1, that is required to maintain a stable population, but we are not meeting that. We are at 1.9, right? So this is again, that is highlighted as a part of the economic survey. The next one is the productivity risk. So when we talk about productivity risk, economic survey says that with a workforce already exceeding 56.2 crore as of second quarter financial year 26, longer lifespans do not automatically translate into productivity unless accompanied by health spans and continuous skill adaptation. And this is something that I told you as a part of the introduction also, that basically, if I talk about, economic survey explains that the people are living longer life primarily because of rising life expectancy. However, in order to benefit from this rising expectancy, what do we need to do? It is very important that first of all, we are extending health spans. Extending health spans basically means that people remain healthy for a longer span of time. This is something that is extremely important, right? That is what we understand by the health spans, that people are able to remain healthy for a longer span of time. Apart from that, we also need to promote lifelong learning, right? Lifelong learning, so that basically people are learning those type of skills that they're learning in the schools, they're learning in the colleges, and they are able to use those skills for their entire lifespan, right? Entire lifespan, that is during the jobs also and later on too. So such type of skills adaptation is also needed, right? So the continuous skill development is also an important goal that should be the priority at this point of time. Apart from that, economic survey says that we need to realize a longevity dividend that requires policy that required policies that ensure longer lifespans are matched by sustained productivity through preventive healthcare and lifelong learning. Here, longevity dividend means what? It basically refers to the economic and social benefits, economic and social benefits that result from what? That result from population that is living longer, the population that is living healthier, and I would say the population that is living more productive too. And when a population lives longer, it lives healthier and it lives productive. The economic and social benefits that the economy is getting, these type of benefits are known as, I would say, the term that we used in order to denote these kind of benefit is basically longevity dividend, right? So economic survey says that realizing a longevity dividend, it requires policy that can ensure the longer lifespan, and these longer lifespans are matched by sustained productivity through preventive healthcare and lifelong learning. So this is something that is required. Now let us move on to the second part of the body, that is regarding multi-sectoral policy interventions. So over here, the first point is that economic service talks about healthcare and biomedical research. When I talk about healthcare and biomedical research, first of all, economic survey says that the policies that the government is formulating, these policies must focus on extending health spans through preventive healthcare and promotion of healthy lifestyles. Apart from that, we need to invest in the research and development also, and very specifically in the biomedical research. We need to do that so that basically we can address the age related issues, because we know that if today we are having the demographic dividend, at a certain point of time when this demographic dividend is going to reach its peak age, after that the graph is going to decline, right? We are going to see a large aging population also, a large aged or elderly population also. So for that we have to be ready, and we need to do sustained investments in the biomedical research. When I talk about preventive care, for example, it can be Ayushman Bharat Yojana, right? That talks about preventive and primary health care, right? We need to promote that, we need to work in that direction more and more. Apart from that, you would also be knowing about Fit India movement, I would say, right? Fit India movement that promotes healthy lifestyle, so that basically we can reduce the disease burden, right? So these type of initiatives can be there. If I talk about research investment, then you must have heard about National Pharma Mission. You can write all this kind of value addition stuff as a part of an example, although it is not mentioned in the economic survey. But anytime, whatever you have learned in the current affairs, be it in the form of data, be it in the form of examples, you can always add it as a part of your body. It is going to enrich your answer, right? So National Pharma Plan, you must have heard about ICMR, right? That basically ICMR, the leading institution that basically leads in biomedical and clinical research in India. We need to establish more such institutions, right? And through that we need to promote more and more research and development in this biomedical research, so that these age related health issues, we can tackle them in the future. So that is something that is a priority as highlighted by the economic survey. Then the next one is regarding lifelong skills, lifelong learning and skills. So over here, the economic survey says that as a part of it, we need to promote initiatives like National Credit Framework and Skill India Digital Hub. Now, when I talk about National Credit Framework, this National Credit Framework, you can understand it like this, that basically it integrates the school education, the higher education, and apart from that, the vocational training also, right? And this is, I would say, the best part about this NCRF framework, because in this NCRF framework we have something called credit system. Now when I talk about credit system, the credit system basically means that earlier, for example, what used to happen, for example, let us say if there is a student who has done ITI electrician course, right? Now after that, let us say this same student, he wants to pursue, let us say he wants to do diploma in electrical engineering. Now what used to happen, if he wants to pursue this diploma in electrical engineering, let us say in a college, this college is not going to recognize his ITI electrician course, right? Because this is something that was there as a part of the vocational training, right? This is something that was there as a part of the vocational training. So after doing this ITI electrician course, when he is going for the diploma, right, what colleges used to do, they used to enroll him in the first year only. Now he will again start this diploma, and then he will go to second year, he will enroll into second year, then after that he is going to pass out, right? So but this ITI electrician course that he did as a part of the vocational training, that was not recognized. That was a problem. So because of this, what a lot of people used to do, they were avoiding these vocational training type courses because they were not recognized in the colleges, right? So that is why that was a big setback for these type of vocational training programs. Now as a part of NCRF, as I told you, we have something called credit system. Now as a part of credit system, what happens is that, for example, if you have done this ITA electrician course, right? So what is going to happen? Through this, you are going to earn credits. You are going to earn credits. And these credits you can use when you be getting enrolled in the college, right? And over there, instead of starting your college from the first year, you will be starting it straightforwardly from the second year, right? So no repetition is going to be there. No repetition is going to be there as a part of it, as a part of this credit accumulation system, right? So this is something that is the best part about it, because basically a lot of people were not enrolling into these type of vocational courses because of this issue, but now it is promoting the vocational training programs also. So this is the best part about this national credit framework, and it enables the accumulation and transfer of credits across academic, vocational and work-based learning, which improves basically the horizontal and the vertical mobility as a part of the employment, right? The next one is skill development digital hub. So this is nothing, this is an initiative, right, in order to promote the skill development in the country, right, to improve the level of skill learning in our country. So it provides a centralized portal for digital skilling with portable verified credentials, ensuring inclusivity through multilingual options. So this is something that is a platform for the skill development, a general platform for the skill development, a digital platform for the skill development. I hope this is also, you must have heard about it. Now the next one is workplace and employment reforms. Now over here, economic survey first of all talks about age-friendly arrangements. Now here the economic survey advocates for age-friendly work arrangements to retain experienced talents and adapt to the demographic transition towards an older population. So economic survey says that, for example, as a part of the organization, as a part of the work culture, we need to have age-friendly arrangement. Age-friendly arrangement means that, for example, if there are some older workers. Now the thing is that if the older workers, they cannot do anything because of their age, right? They cannot work after a certain age. It does not mean that they are not asset anymore. They are still an asset, because these older workers, older working people, they still have a lot of experience, right? So what we can do, we can basically utilize their work experience, and we can make sure that they stay in an organization or in a workplace as a part of the workforce for a longer period of time, right? So that is something that we can promote as a part of age friendly environment. For example, we can provide them flexible work schedules, right? They don't have to work from 9 to 6. We can provide them some sort of flexibility. For example, if I talk about Infosys basically uses a lot of experienced professionals for training and mentorship, right? So they are used for knowledge training, I would say knowledge transfer, and it basically, of course, it boosts the productivity in the organization. So that is something that we can provide as a part of it. Apart from that, this economic survey also talks about the labor code impact, right? It also talks about the labor codes that have been recently implemented by the government, and it basically talks about, it puts a lot of focus on reforms like inspector cum facilitator model. Now when I talk about, I'm sorry, my pen fell down, wait a second. Yes. So when I talk about the inspector cum facilitator model, so inspector cum facilitator model basically means that, for example, if there is some kind of inspector who is handling his duty, right? So earlier the scenario was that there was a lot of inspector Raj, which basically represents the fear and evasion. But now these labor reforms, what they do basically, they basically move from this traditional enforcement model to inspector cum facilitator model, where the inspector is not just inspecting, he is also acting as a facilitator. By facilitator I mean to say that he is also going to play his role with respect to guidance and the awareness, right? So this is something that he is going to facilitate, and that is going to improve the compliance, and it is going to improve the transparency also. So I hope this is clear, right? So this is something, these kind of reforms have been highly appreciated as a part of the economic survey, and it says that the reforms like inspector cum facilitator model, they shift the focus from traditional enforcement to advisory support, which is a healthy sign. And it also gives this data that implementation of these type of labor codes, it is projected that they are going to contribute 1.25% to GDP by the year 2029 to 2030. So this is something that has been projected as a part of it when we talk about the labor code impact, which have recently been implemented by the government. And this is the projection that that we have framed in context to that, right? Now the next one. The next one is regarding informal sector. So when we talk about informal sector support, over here the economic survey talks about eShram portal, right? You must be knowing about eShram portal, which is the national database for unorganized sector. So this eShram portal serves as a national database for unorganized workers, extending social protection to construction, to migrant workers, to street vendors, and to agriculture workers also. And as per the survey gives this data that more than 31 crore, workers, 31 plus crore workers are registered, and out of these 54% are women, right? So this is very, I would say, a productive eShram portal, which basically provide the UAN number also, and as a part of UAN it basically provide simple portability, right? It provides this portability feature which basically simplifies the job transition as a part of the informal sector. So that is the advantage of that. Now the next one is social and financial security. So when we talk about social and financial security, first of all, this economic survey envisions, it says that envision an integrated digital public infrastructure that brings together data from the eShram portal, from the NCS, and from the SIDH, right? Now, if I talk about eShram portal, it is going to give the data regarding the workers. From the NCS, we will be getting the data regarding the jobs. And from the SIDH, we are going to get the data regarding the skills, right? And or regarding the training. When all this data is going to get merged together, just imagine the type of social impact it is going to carry when it comes to the different type of employment related challenges as a part of the country. So we will be able to bring skills, jobs, and the workers together, right? And it is going to solve a lot of problem with respect to the different industries. So that is something that is envisioned as a part of economic survey. Apart from that, it talks about the financial and social protection also. It says that as India's demographic dividend peaks around 2030 with nearly 65% of the population in the working age group, there is a growing policy focus on expanding social security and income protection mechanism. So basically, it talks about the initiatives like, for example, Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Yojana, right, which provides a pension for the unorganized workers. It also talks about Atal Pension Yojana, right? It also talks about, I would say, employed state insurance scheme, which is regarding health and income protection, right? So these type of financial and social protection, India is putting focus in this direction. We need to consolidate that. And we need to make sure that we are able to implement them in the best possible manner. Then the last one is focusing upon vulnerable groups also. So specific programs aim to protect gig workers and the platform workers from income volatility and thin file credit access. If you remember, I had taken a separate session with respect to the gig economy, right? So over there, we had discussed different such type of points regarding the thin file credit. We have seen all these things as a part of that session. If you have not watched it, you can check it out over there. What are the different initiatives in context to that, right? So this can also be a target area focus as of now. So I hope this is clear to you. Now the last part, which is the conclusion part. So harnessing the longevity dividend is essential for realizing the Viksit Bharat vision by integrating health, education, and labor market reforms. India can ensure that its demographic transition leads to sustained productivity, social well-being, and inclusive growth. So a short and brief conclusion that can be there as a part of it. So I hope this is clear to everyone. And this was a straightforward topic, nothing much to understand, but still important for the examination. But apart from that, I have already told you, I have given you two more important themes, right, which is these two areas that where I want you to focus upon. Just try to make 1 to 2 page notes for these themes. They can be important for your descriptive paper. The first is the barriers to female labor force participation rate, and the second is regarding rural urban disparities. These two areas are important. They have been discussed in the economic survey. Although I'm I'm not discussing it as a part of the session, but they are important, right? So that is it from my end, and thank you so much and all the best.